Hi there, this is Josh McKinnon with McKinnonHomes.ca, brokered by eXp Realty, and today we're talking condominiums and specifically the information sheet or disclosure statement or info sheet. Many people have different things they call it, but I'm going to show you why it's important. Okay, the information sheet. Now, it's really important because there's a lot of information on an information sheet. And when we're looking at taking a look at all the documentation, this one here may seem like it's not very important. I would actually go as far as to say it may be the most important because it may actually put us onto something so that way we can check it out for ourselves. Let's take a look at an information sheet. All right, well, here's an example of one. And this one here is for the condominium corporation known as Aspen Place. So for all intents and purposes, we'll take a look at this one. You can see the date it was drawn up. So once these get too old, we don't want them around either. You know, if they're like 6 months old, this information may not be relevant. In fact, sometimes they're not even relevant a few months after. And let's take a look. So this one here, as you can see, it's drawn up for an individual unit. So it's going to talk about that unit only. And plus the condominium corporation. And you're going to see some interesting questions. So here it talks about judgments, if there's anything owed, any written demand notice. Now you may ask, why would there be a judgment or why would there be some kind of lawsuit? Well, if somebody slips and falls on condominium property, who are they going to sue? Well, insurance will normally take care of it, but normally they will also make sure that they have something on file so that everyone knows. Now, here's an interesting number, the amount of capital replacement reserve fund. When we go over the piece about reserve fund study, you're going to see how much money should be there by the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2021, I guess. And so you're going to see that, yeah, it's not quite all there, but the majority of it is. And if they had to, it wouldn't take long and they would have more than enough to meet everything. So this one here is not lagging. It's not required to have millions of dollars in reserve. In fact, you don't really want that unless you're planning to do like big projects. Then you want to kind of build that money up. But this is good. As of this date, we know there was this much money. And we know it wouldn't take long, and before the end of the year, there would be even more. All right, another thing this tells us, the monthly condo fee, $240. Just go back to this here for a second. The information sheet is the first piece of paper I like to look at because then it would tell me this is what's in the piggy bank, so to speak. And then I go to the reserve fund and see what are they supposed to have. And it gives me a good idea. So it's pretty well funded. So that's the reason I talk about that. The condo monthly fee, well, this we know. This is what it is. So perfect. And they base it on budgets. Well, we're going to talk about that too. And unit factors. Any structural problems? None. Loans to disclose? None. So condominium corporations are allowed to borrow money. Sometimes they do that and everybody pays a little bit. But right now there's none in this one. Unit factors, that's the next big one. $399. Well, what does that mean? Well, you're buying into a corporation. Remember, corporations are legislated to be set up to continue forever. And so you become a shareholder. So if you looked at this unit factor as shares, that's an easy way to remember. You bought shares into a corporation and you own 399 out of 10,000 because there's a total of 10,000 shares and then they split it up based on sometimes square footage. There's all kinds of different reasons, but there's 399. All right, let's take a look. Anything else here that's kind of weird? Okay, so not a whole lot of weirdness there. Looks very good. something that you see in some of these information sheets are things that are disclosures, we call them. That's why they do call them a disclosure statement sometimes. So here's an example here. Any structural deficiencies, but they also talk about something known as post-tension cables. Now, this building won't have that because post-tension cables are used in concrete structures to create strength. They work really good. In fact, we drive on post-tension cables all the time because we drive on bridges, and that's how they're constructed. But post-tension cables can cause a problem when the concrete spurs off and exposes the cable, and then you have cars driving and there's salt water getting on it, and now it starts to corrode the cable. So in some properties in Edmonton, they've had serious post-tension cable issues to the point where it was borderline whether or not the building was worth saving. But they did fix them. We haven't torn any down because it's super expensive to fix. And that's why now there's disclosures about post-tension cables. So another good thing to note, if you're buying an apartment building and you're not quite sure if it's high-rise, it probably has post-tension cables a lot of times in the parkade as well. And they'll have to tell us. All right. Well, as you can see, having a good look at the information sheet can fill you in to all kinds of things then you need to look at. So we've looked at information sheets. Let's go on to the next one.